This is the sermon for 9/26/21, and it's called, What Do We Need for Care of the Earth? And I'm continuing a conversation, I hope it will become a conversation, about how we best care for the earth and for the environment. And today I want to read from Ruth 1:5-17, and this is a paraphrase of it. Now the woman Naomi was left without her grown sons and her husband because they had died. One day she got herself together, she and her 2 daughters-in-law, to leave her husband's country and set out for home. She had heard that God was providing her people with food. And so she started out from the foreign country where she had been living, she and her 2 daughters-in-law with her, on the road back to the land of Judah. After a short while on the road, Naomi told her 2 daughters-in-law, "Go back. Go home and live with your mothers. And may God treat you as graciously as you treated your husbands now have died, as graciously as you treated your husbands and me. May God give each of you a new home and a new husband." She kissed them, and they cried openly. They said, "No, we're going on with you to your people." But Naomi was firm. "Go back, my dear ones. Why would you come with me? I'm too old to provide you with new families." Again they cried openly. Orpah kissed her mother-in-law goodbye, but Ruth embraced her and held on. Naomi said, "Look, your sister-in-law is going back home to live with her own people and gods. Go with her." But Ruth said, "Don't force me to leave you. Don't make me go home. Where you go, I go. And where you live, I will live. Your people are my people. Your God is my God. Where you die, I'll die. And that's where I'll be buried. Not even death itself will come between us." Well, last Sunday afternoon, when I went to the birthday bash, the garden party that I went to, I was listening to a former hospital chaplain tell this story about her time as a chaplain. It was her training as a chaplain. Part of her responsibility was the dialysis unit, and it just so happened that some of her patients were Black Baptist women in this dialysis unit. And it was during Lent, and her supervisor, a colleague of ours, told her, "You will go and offer the imposition of ashes to your patients." And she said, "They're Baptists. They're Black Baptists, and they won't want that. I'm not going to do it." And he said to her, "You will offer them ashes, and they are free to say no thank you." She took a deep breath and she thought, "Okay, I'm going to go offer these women the imposition of ashes." So this little tiny white woman chaplain went to talk to them. She began to offer this ritual, and the woman who was a sort of a leader of this friend group asked, "What is it? What is it? What is ashes? What do you mean?" So my friend, the chaplain, explained Ash Wednesday. From dust we come, to dust we return, ashes to ashes. It was about honoring, recognizing suffering in life, and the reality that we are all mortal. We will all die. At first the woman said, "You think we don't know about that? Honey, we know about suffering and death." And after a moment of quiet, this woman told the chaplain, "I'll take everything God's got for me. I'll take everything God's got." So this woman and her friends wanted the ashes too, and the little white woman chaplain gave each Black woman the ritual of the ashes that day in the hospital. She and I were laughing. What an attitude. I'll take everything God's got for me. What if we had that attitude? I'll take everything God's got for me. Even if it's ashes, even if it is a reminder of suffering and death, even if it is a recognition of our utter dependence on God and on one another. So I want to imagine something with you for a minute. These are the choices. You can be a stranger in need, or you can be the one offering hospitality, or you can be the powerful one that doesn't show care and stays self-focused. So in a position of people traveling and being in great need, if you could choose one or reject one of them, which would it be? Would you be the stranger in need? Would you be the one offering hospitality? Or would you be the one who just says, "No, thank you, I'll keep to myself and my own"? Well, I think as Americans and as church people, we want to be the person who offers hospitality. We don't want to be the stranger in need. And some of us, if we're honest, will say, yeah, I don't really want to be offering hospitality either. You don't know what you're getting into. And so I'll just keep to myself and my loved ones. And this is what I want to talk about today. And Naomi and her two widowed daughter-in-laws. So Naomi is a widow as well. It didn't happen all at once at the same time. And I think that Naomi and her daughters-in-law got close over the time that they were widowed together. And so the three of them, the three women, start traveling back to Naomi's homeland, Judah. And she had heard that there was enough food that, as she said, God was offering to feed them, to feed the people in that country. I don't know how hungry they were in Naomi's husband's land. I don't know. But the three of them start traveling back, and Naomi says, go home to your mothers. Marry someone, marry again. You'll have children. I can't give you families. I can't give you much at all. And Orpah decided to go on home to her mother and take her chances with that. But Ruth said, nope, don't make me go. I'm traveling with you. It's a beautiful story. My eyes brim with tears when I haven't read it in a while and I read it again. And that happened as I was studying for this passage. And I want to think about people that will need to be traveling as the climate becomes hotter and harsher, and as people are having to move from areas of climate that have become no longer possible to live in. But first I want to ask another question. Not only do you want to be the one to offer hospitality or the one to receive it, but there's a 60-year longitudinal study. That means every year for 60 years, a group of men, they were undergraduates at Harvard at the time, they were asked a whole bunch of questions. And one of the questions was, what makes you happy? And yeah, these were Harvard undergrads. Do you know what they said over 60 years of what made them happy? Was it success and money? Was it getting married? Was it having kids or grandkids? Was it good health? Was it work or retirement that they loved? No, it was other people. That's what it was across the board. It was other people that made them happy. So these Black Baptist women were saying that I'll take everything that God's got for me. And also they were part of a friend group where they knew that it was friends, it was other people that made them happy. Who are your people? Who are your friends who support you? And how do you support others? If you set out to accomplish something, what's your motivation for accomplishing it? We need each other. There's an awful lot of sadness and grief in the world right now. The hospitals have been full of patients, not only COVID, but a lot of other problems as well. We know that we need God. We need everything God's got for us, and we need each other. So if we were going to work on making the world a better place, even just a small bit better, how will we do that? How will we have an enduring sense of self and place with its familiarity, history, place, and people. I grew up in Glenview. It was not like a small town. People moved in and out of there because of corporate jobs, because of it being a Chicago suburb. People were always moving on. And I think today, companies are moving people across the country, and there's not a continuity of place, a stability of place and people. I had a terrible time being a minister's wife. My husband was quite happy in each church where he served, and I was really the odd person out, and the church people didn't know how much I was hurting. I tried to communicate, but they were content. They were small town people, and they had their own friendship group, and so they couldn't hear how hard it was for me. And I knew that they were content with their lives, that even if I was part of it briefly, I would be moving on, and they knew that as well. And so I want to talk about how we settle and have continuity of place, stability of place, stability of people, and how do we offer hospitality? How do we offer connection with people? So Naomi and her daughters-in-law loved each other, and Naomi and Ruth ended up traveling back to Judah and ended up being wonderfully connected. The rest of the story is equally as great as the first part. But with all the churning of change in the United States, how can we offer hospitality to people? And when the time comes that people need hospitality, how will we offer it to them? With climate change and upheaval, there will be people needing hospitality. How will we offer it to them? The Jewish people understood being uprooted and not having stability of place. They knew it intimately. It was part of the Jewish traditions. Jesus understood the need for hospitality and required it of his followers. He required people to offer, followers of his, to offer hospitality to each other. It's part of the Christian faith. So, in our country, we're struggling right now with law and order versus offering hospitality to the best of our ability. When it comes to building walls and keeping out people that don't belong here, according to law and order, what is our Christian call? What's the Christian call for offering hospitality? And we have it with Naomi and Ruth. There was hospitality going in both directions between the two women. It's the heart of the matter. How will we be softened by the call of Christ in our lives to offer hospitality? How do we offer hospitality to a hurting world? I mean, even creation is hurting from pollution and from many other problems in our world. How can God work with us? How can we receive everything that God's got for us? How can we offer and receive the bonding that Naomi and Ruth offered to one another? The Jewish people are reminded over and over again, you were once slaves and bitterly oppressed in a foreign land. So treat strangers the way you would want to be treated. And that's what it comes down to, the golden rule again. As things change and as we care for the earth, Jesus wants us to live by the golden rule. How do we offer the strength of hospitality for one another? When it comes to our using oil-based energy like there's no tomorrow, we don't see immediately how it affects us. But already it's affecting people in vulnerable parts of the earth, places of flooding, tsunamis, storms. My daughter-in-law in California has seen massive wildfires where she had to stay inside for times, and massive wildfires where they had to wear masks going from building to car. That is in large reason because of the change, climate change that we're seeing. Sometimes we need to be stretched, and by God calling us again to offer hospitality to the earth, to others, to people in need. May God call us, and may we respond yes. Amen.